Welcome to the podcast. Special guest today is Pär Larshans, who is in Sweden. Conversation is via Zoom. Pär is Director of Sustainability at Ragn Sells. It's a waste management, environmental services and recycling company. We talk about sustainability, so hence he is on the program. We touch on organizations and companies and people that are doing the right thing. It was fantastic to have Pär on the podcast and talk about the work that he's doing. I hope the company is not held back too much by regulations. You can find out more about the company on ragnsels.com. And if you like to support the podcast, please do so by going to the website and listen to more podcasts. It's podcasts.earth. And without further ado, here's the podcast with Pär Larshans in Sweden. I'm talking here with, and correct me if I'm totally pronouncing this wrong, but I'm talking here with Pär Larshans, Director of Sustainability at Ragn Sells. That's still correct, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Do I pronounce that correctly as well? Pär Larshans?
Well, it depends. When I was growing up, when I went to school, one of the teachers thought I originated from France. He said Larshans.
Larshans,
that is not correct. In Swedish, they say Larshans.
Yeah, Larshans. Okay, that's good.
But Pär, that's perfect.
Okay, right.
And Pär originates from Peter.
Oh, really? So with the same name? That's amazing, isn't it?
Or Petrus, to be honest. Yes.
Petrus, or even okay. That's like exactly. Biblical, almost.
Exactly.
Okay.
It means that we have the same call now. We are the rock. You know that?
The rock, indeed. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So I was referred to you by Lars. I did a podcast with Lars Ling, and I saw a video online as well from yourself. With Lars. You worked with him many times, or just occasionally, or how do you know him?
I have. He is one of the champions in changing the society into a more sustainable future, and really try to impose and highlight different kind of initiatives. Mm-hmm. So based on that, I have been on and off working with him for more than 10 years, I believe.
10 years already. Wow. Okay. Right.
Yeah, but not on a regular basis.
Okay.
He's one of the one that really likes to promote good initiatives, and he's really one of the pioneers in trying to have a change in society. So I really he's doing that by promoting others, and that's really something that I really like.
Brilliant.
It's one of his really good things behind him. So
right, and you're going on a holiday. I caught you just before you're going away in 2 days' time.
Exactly.
Obviously, coronavirus. A lot of people don't let people into the country. Some don't let people go. And you are in Sweden. Are you going abroad? Are you staying in Sweden? Are you staying on the farm because you're on the farm at the moment? What are you going to do?
I will stay at the farm, and we will be around here in Bollnäs.
Okay.
It's in the northern part or northern part of Sweden, and we will really have a nice time here.
Okay.
And I will have 6 weeks of vacation. I've never had so much vacation anywhere before, so this is really going to be fantastic.
Are you going to be totally off the grid, or are you still going to be working? Because you're on the farm now, and basically you're in a conversation with me. It means people can get in contact with you, and that's not something that you normally do on a holiday, right? So.
I will be able to be contacted, and, of course, because things are happening, and I love my work.
Good.
But I won't work as much as I normally does.
Fair enough. So coronavirus, I saw your website. You have like a whole page dedicated to this. How you are not laying off people, how you are continuing the work. Obviously, people are depending on you, and companies are depending on you, and nothing really has changed as much. So you basically have a contingency plan for these difficult times. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, and of course our business, our way of working, we are caring for the waste in the society, and we are still producing waste. But of course it has shifted. It means that some parts of the industry has totally closed down. And of course, then you don't generate any waste either. But we have been pretty fortunate, so we have not had that much of downturn in our operations. Some parts, yes, but the majority is still producing waste.
Okay.
But the question is, can we do it in another way? Do we need waste in the future?
Yeah.
So it has been good good practice here to understand how to do it.
Yeah.
Yes, contingency plan is very important, and we have been able to have a good planning for that in all our 4 countries that we are operating in.
And how much less waste do you have at the moment, if I may ask?
At the moment, it's a couple of % down at the moment, so it's not that bad. It was in the start in March. It was some of the markets really were hit hard.
Yeah.
But we have seen other parts of the market that has increased. On the other hand, so.
Okay. Which parts of the market has increased? What have you seen as an increase in?
Especially when it comes to retailers, food sales, food retailers, and restaurants, of course, has closed. Totally. But then we have the supermarkets have increased.
Right. In Sweden as well, restaurants are closed now, because there was a time that I think the Prime Minister said, well, we're not going to put any strict implementations.
The restaurant has not been forced to close down, right. But the people has not been going to the restaurants as much.
Right.
And it still is a slowdown. It still is the lower volumes from the restaurants.
Yeah.
The hotels are almost empty.
Totally
so
empty.
Therefore, people are eating more food at home.
Right.
And by that, we see that there's an increase in household waste.
Yeah. And you are in waste management. That's what I see. Environmental services, recycling. You also have a foundation in place as well. So what is it exactly that you do? Tell me about it.
Yeah, to be honest, we originate from being a transport company in the 1880s.
Okay.
We were
you say 1880s?
1881, to be honest. Amandus Sellberg, he was supposed to immigrate to US in the 1880s.
Okay.
And we had some tough times there in the 1880s in Sweden. But he wanted to have some money with him when he immigrated. So he decided to borrow money to buy a horse.
Oh, okay.
So he could transport goods and people. The thing was, that was a very bad buy, because the horse died after just a couple of months. So he was not able to leave because he didn't have any money. He was even on the minus. So therefore, in 1882, he bought the second horse of more bought money and land money, and then the success started. So in the end of 1880s and the late 1890s, it became the largest transport company in Stockholm, and with horses and carriages. And at that stage also, we transported the latrines from the city of Stockholm out to the suburbs, out to where the food were produced, to the farms surrounding Stockholm.
Yeah.
And this is something that we continue doing today also. We are the largest distributor of sludge from household from sludge to the fields in Sweden.
Yeah.
And this is also what we'll do tomorrow, but now on a global level. But tomorrow we will not be doing it in the way we do today, handling waste. We will extract resources, phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen out of the sludge, and deliver it to the lands, but then in a total new way. So more or less to say, we are doing the same thing as in 1880s, but we're doing it in a modern way.
Innovative way, brilliant.
Exactly.
I spoke, obviously we're talking about the circular economy. I did a podcast recently with a gentleman in Australia, Erwin Boermans, Comfort ID. In his case, it was really about energy efficiency, district heating, heat recovery. And I'm seeing here that circular economy is really about eliminating waste, and your business is about waste. Could you explain to me, well, a few things really? What does it mean to you, first of all, the circular economy? And if it is really about eliminating waste, then your business is dead as well, isn't it? Or am I totally wrong here?
No, you're totally right. In a circular economy, in a true circular economy, there's no waste. So for 4 years ago, when we did our latest really big strategy work, that was also our insight. So then the question mark was, okay, if there's no waste, what do we do as a waste management company then? And it started really a transformation phase in our company. And then we discovered that we do have things that we will continue contributing with going forward. And for the next 70 years, at least, we believe we need to take away unwanted substances, toxin, heavy metals that are in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Because our liner economy has been fantastic in producing economy and wealth. But we have not been caring for the resources that are limited, and we have not been taking responsibility for where the waste has ended up.
Yeah.
It has created carbon emissions, and it created problems in the seas. Mm-hmm. So now we need to take responsibility. So, and also decontaminate, meaning take away the unwanted things. Mm-hmm. And that's where we believe that we will play an important role the years to come.
Okay.
For decades to come.
Taking the bad parts out of it, basically, correct? And reusing everything. Good. And you're doing this different, obviously, from the gentleman in Australia. You're doing it different from a lot of other companies. How do you do it differently, and why do you do it differently?
We talked about the circular economy and what the circular economy means for us.
Yeah.
For us, we know that the circular economy will mean a new way of producing and consuming goods and infrastructure. Mm-hmm. It will we need to source in a different way. We need to design in a different way so that the material can be used over and over again and mm-hmm. don't degrade. Mm-hmm. And therefore we have said that the cities, they are the one that are consuming. They are the one that need to demand that the thing that they are consuming can be used in a proper way and doesn't contain unwanted things. So we have come up with a solution that we can do mining, in this case, urban mining. It means that we have discovered material streams that will continue for decades to come, but are today treated as in a liner structure. You waste them, you deposit them, you put them in landfills. And we say that everything that we can avoid landfilling, mm-hmm. but in some way extract the resources out of them, we should try to do that. So therefore we come up with a couple of, I would say, world-leading innovations. Mm-hmm. One is the phosphorus, where we out of sludge can extract 95% of the phosphorus.
Okay, what do you use that for, if I may ask?
The phosphorus are used for fertilizing.
Fertilizer, okay.
So without phosphorus, there's no life.
Right.
Phosphorus is also is part of our DNA. And if we don't have phosphorus, nothing will grow. And in the 50s, when they introduced mineral fertilizers, normally they took away the latrines back to the land. That was what they did in the 1880s. Mm-hmm. In the 1950s, when the mineral fertilizers were introduced, we had a huge economic boom in the society, because then we could grow a growing population. We can make sure that we created more food production. But that has been done in a liner way, meaning that we are mining phosphorus from mines. 80% of all known reserves in the world are in one place in the world, and that's in Morocco and West Sahara.
Yeah, okay. So it's all imported. That's not good, is it?
The challenge is, the big challenge with the phosphorus in Morocco, it contains heavy content or a lot of heavy metals like cadmium. And the problem is, and now we're talking about the challenge the next 50 years to come. Europe, as an example, we have very, very little amount of phosphorus that we can mine in Europe. Just 10% of the need in Europe are produced inside Europe. 90% are imported. The challenge is, if we continue using the fertilizer that we are doing today, it means that we need to import from Morocco with high content of cadmium, spread it on the soils of Europe. Then in 50 years from now, we will have a huge problem with diseases based on, if you eat cadmium, if it comes into the food that you're eating, then you will suffer from osteoporosis. So I believe in 50 years from now, that will be the highest cost for European Union to care for the people that are suffering from the diseases. So in order to avoid that, in order to make sure that we can produce the phosphorus by ourselves, we need to mine from the urban mining possibilities that we have, meaning that we're taking care of the sludge. We take away the unwanted things like the cadmium, and then can bring back to pure phosphorus. And that's our patent. And we can produce the cleanest phosphorus fertilizer in the world.
Yep.
And so we have not set up the first factory yet. It will be probably built in Germany.
Okay.
Because Germany has the legislation in place where they demand phosphorus recovery.
Right. That is what my next question, really. You have to talk to the governments, the cities. You have to talk to the European Union to get this all organized, correct? Because it's a totally different way of thinking, and you basically have to educate people about this.
And that's one of the biggest challenges that we need to do something about the next years to come. Because even if we extract it now from the sludge, we're not allowed to use it in Europe. Because today's legislation in Europe are based on origin, not quality.
Okay.
It means that if it has been waste, it's banned to use as a fertilizer.
Okay. That's not good. That's not good for your business either. Or
what we want, we believe, if we're going to create circularity, we need to set up targets, and we need to set up regulations that gives, of course, a possibility, but set the quality in focus. And in our case, our phosphorus is of the highest quality in the world.
Right.
So we believe it should be used. You should prefer that substance instead of ban it like it is today.
Yeah.
But I think that things are happening, and we know that, as an example, in Germany, when phosphorus became on the critical raw material list managed by the European Union, then Germany said, okay, if this is a scarce resource, European Union said this is important for us to care for, then put the legislation in place so we make it happen. So in 2032, all cities in Germany over a certain amount of population need to take out the phosphorus out of the sludge. And then there's a business possibility, of course, for us.
Yeah, and I know that you have been as well. You spoke at the United Nations, one of their meetings as well with regards to this. And I also, obviously, I already mentioned it, but you have a foundation in place. And the foundation, you give financial contributions and promoting research, development, and knowledge sharing within the waste management area. But you just mentioned as well that you have a patent on your process. So that seems to go against each other. It's like a contradiction, or is that not a contradiction? And how do you see that? Knowledge sharing, how do you do that?
Knowledge sharing is the key component.
Right.
Turning in the world into a circular, in the circular transformation we need to see, will need to be done through a new way of managing business.
Okay.
We need to focus on collaboration, and then knowledge sharing is the key message, because we don't have the time. We don't have the time to wait for things to happen. We need to find the partners that would like to have the same ideas as we have. And then together with those companies, together with those nations, we need to create faster speed to make this transformation happen. Our foundation, it was set up by the Ragn Sells is the founder of today's company, Ragn Sells of today. And he was one of the biggest inventor of the 1900s in Sweden. So he really created a lot of different kinds of solutions how to treat waste. Today's owners are the three siblings of him. And the chairman, he really, when you speak to him and when you talk about new inventions, you see he's smiling. He really like things to happen. So he's not that focusing on, of course, we need to do profit in order to develop new solutions. But what really makes him sparkle is new inventions.
Okay.
So the foundation, they are sharing knowledge and they are helping outside of the company. They are not focusing on internal research. Internally, yes, we have different kind of companies set up to develop solutions for our own business, for our own operation. One example is Easy Mining. It's a 100% owned company by Ragn Sells, but they are just developing solutions for nutrient recovery. And we have now over 50 patents when concerning phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen. And the latest one is the nitrogen. And the nitrogen is not a scarce resource, but it's one of the real bad substances that you can have in water. Nitrogen, we have a lot of nitrogen up in the air.
Okay.
But when it goes from the air down to the water, it creates environmental problems, and it creates also health problems. So therefore, we see problem with eutrophication, and we see challenges going forward with economical growth. As an example, in the Netherlands, the nitrate directive has been overshot many times. So they have really big challenges, even allowing new buildings to be built. I think they stopped construction work for more than 15 billion euros annually, based on that there's too much nitrogen in the water.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that. And I'm from Holland, so there you go.
And then we see the World Bank published a report last year about the challenge of nitrogen in developing countries in the water. And they was very clear, this is the biggest challenge when it comes to economical growth the years to come. So they see a 30% downturn in economical growth if they can't get rid of the nitrogen out of the water. And then you talk about the health problem.
Yeah. And you're doing it in 4 countries at the moment. So Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Estonia. Is that part of the knowledge sharing as well, that you're trying to get this global?
Definitely. And what we do in those 4 countries is the traditional way of working with waste management. But our new inventions are not just for those 4 countries. That will be for the global market.
Okay.
And the nitrogen, what we're doing with that one is that we are taking out the nitrogen out of the water through chemical process. So today's way of doing it is a biological treatment. And it means that it creates a lot of carbon emissions, laughing gas that emits to the climate. But we are doing it in a chemical way, so there is no carbon emissions. We are producing fertilizer directly from the water to a lower cost for society. So it's really a groundbreaking way of using wastewater as the new way of producing fertilizer.
So what are the obstacles that you have come across? Is it just the way it's being done at the moment, the government, legislation? Is that what really is stopping you at the moment? Or?
Within European Union, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
It means that we are facing problems when it comes to use it within Europe.
Right.
So it means that we will need to export outside of Europe the potassium, the nitrogen, and the phosphorus to other markets. But we hope, and we will really need to target the European Union to have them to understand they need to change.
Yeah.
Quality must come before origin, and allowing circular processes to be able to be used.
Right, and I'm sure they understand that. So where are you at the moment? How many years is that going to take before they understand that themselves?
Normally, say changing legislation would take at least 5 years in Europe.
5 years, okay.
But I'm very positive now because we know that the new commission, they have really said that circular economy are the number 1 on the agenda.
Right.
We need to make sure that we can demonstrate our possibilities, because it's very, did it start with the egg or with the hen? How did it start? If you don't know about the solution,
I'm sure it was the egg.
It needs to be egg.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you don't know about the solution, if you don't know that this is possible to do, then you can't change the legislation either. So we need to make sure that we can showcase our possibilities.
Yeah.
And this is a very important transformation path for the company, going from waste management into resource raw material producer, when we can do it on a large scale, on a global level, not just focusing on our 4 countries when we are dealing with waste.
Yeah. And okay, that is fair enough. And is that what you call the sustainable journey, or is there another meaning to that?
The sustainable journey is that's our way how we are operating in order to create this change.
All right.
On the first level, the first step, we talk about being compliant.
Yeah.
If we are not compliant, nobody will listen to us. So that's the basic level. The second level, we are introducing those fantastic innovations like the phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen and other solutions, but nobody will buy them if there's not a request to buy them, if there's not legislation in place. So what we need to do is to make sure that we work on all 3 levels at the same time. You mentioned UN, that's an example where I was really surprised, but very honored where we became one of 4 examples for innovation and leadership for the global goals, and was asked to present this in UN in New York in 2018.
Yeah.
And at that moment, when we did this presentation, then I understood that we have a possibility to do a change. We have a possibility to implement those ideas, not just in our areas, but on a global level. And I really like the way that UN are doing it. They are showcasing good practice examples and trying to have those to inspire more things to happen.
Did you get good feedback? Did you get good feedback from that?
Very good feedback from many people, but on the other hand, yes, we had also some challenges.
Okay.
We had today's linear industry was also participating. And after our presentation, they came to us and said, we have tried this so very long. It's no idea. You stop this. We have mined enough, so we will continue mining, and you don't need to do it.
Because you're stepping on their toes, isn't it?
They have invested billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And of course, then they need to secure their investments. But it's the old way. It's the linear way. And it causes too much carbon emissions to the world. So we need to do it in a new way.
Right.
And of course, yes, we are stopping on their toes, yes.
That makes sense to me. It's bad business. What you're doing is bad business for them. It's obviously very good for the world and for the environment and for everyone else, but not for existing mining operations.
But for us, that was really a confirmation that we are on the right track.
Of course.
It was a confirmation that we can really contribute. We have something that policymakers would like to have in place. But it's a combination, caring for resources, detoxifying, taking away harmful substances, and avoiding carbon emissions. So and we can say yes to all those 3, which is very important.
All right. And I see on your website that you are living proof that caring for the earth and good business go hand in hand. Is that you believe that?
This is very, very, very strong with the owners. This is very, very strong statement that we all in our company are behind, and really, so every inventions that we are developing need to answer 3 questions. Will it avoid using or reducing the need of virgin extraction somewhere else? Will it detoxify, take away unwanted substances? And thirdly, will it avoid pushing hindrances to future generations? If we have yes on all those 3 questions, then we will invest. And it's based on this statement, making sure that we care for the environment. So yes, and it works.
So it works. You strongly believe in it yourself as well. You've been there 5 years, right? So this is something that you...
Yes, I've been here 5 years, and I've been working with sustainability for more than 25 years.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this is it's fantastic. We see all the problems that the company has, companies has, or different business has.
Yeah.
But now, when companies have the problems, there's another side of the coin. There's a possibility we can come up with a solution for them.
Of course.
Yeah. So there's huge amount of possibilities how we can transform problems into possibilities. And the 3 examples I highlighted, phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen, these are groundbreaking examples where we really can make a difference. And I have never seen such potential before ever in my life. So this is a huge potential for transforming society into a new economy, a circular economy.
Fair enough. And you say that obviously you do a lot of research internally in other areas as well, from what I understand. I actually did a podcast not too long ago with a gentleman from a think tank here in London, Patrick Hall, and he said that some things cannot just not be recycled. And he was mentioning, for example, black garbage bags. He said that's just almost impossible. It's the worst thing for the environment, is what he said. In the research that you're doing, and in your personal opinion, are there things that cannot be recycled, or what do you think? Or can everything in the end be recycled? Just you need to find a solution for that.
No, I agree with him. All plastic that are produced and are with black are impossible to recycle to new plastics.
Okay.
And so therefore it need to be incinerated. We have developed technique that we, after incineration, can extract the resources out of them.
Right.
So it contradicts a little bit of what he's saying.
Yeah.
We are recycling in another way. So we can recycle after incineration.
Right. And just for people who are listening, what do you mean by that?
It means that if you have things that you can't recycle anymore, that need to be taken out, like you would like to phase out the heavy chemicals or the toxin, then incineration are perfect to concentrate those substances.
Okay.
At the same time, you're concentrating also the elements that you would like to recycle back. So we have developed technique how we can both separate away the unwanted things, as well as we can then also concentrate the resources, the metals, the things that we need. It's very hard to say if you have a bag of garbage and say that I would like to extract the potassium out of this bag. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to see the potassium. It's so little. But if you concentrate it after incineration, then you can take out the atom, the potassium atom, and that's what we're doing. But I totally agree with him. We need to design our products so we can recycle them, so we can material recycle them over and over again as long as
that comes down to legislation again, I take it.
It's and standards. You shouldn't be allowed to produce plastic bags that are black, as an example.
So why did they do that? Why did they produce black garbage bags, which are like impossible to recycle? Why did they do that? Is it cheaper or is it better? Or
I don't know exactly, but I can guess that one challenge is that if you have a black bag, you don't see the contents.
Right, yeah.
So that will be one solution. Mm-hmm. So you can put anything in it and it's no problem. Mm. I don't know exactly why they do it. They produce it black. I see more and more transparent now bags coming. I think things are happening. Mm. But we need to phase out some of the bad stuff, and especially the last over 150 years of industrialization has made us very rich in the society, but has also created problems. And those problems we need to take away, and that's heavy chemicals and heavy metals and different kind of chemicals that need to be phased out.
Okay. Anything else that needs to be phased out where that might be difficult?
What need to be phased out are the toxin that we have put into the system. Mm-hmm. We know that we are constructing things with substances that are very smart to use when you're for one reason. It creates other problems. PFAS is one of those examples, or PFOS.
Okay.
And that's something that is it's sustainable for heat and also very good to avoid water leakage. Yeah. The thing is, it when it comes into the ecosystem, when it comes into when you're drinking water, it creates health problems. So therefore, they are now in the phase of trying to get rid of PFAS or PFOS in different kind of things that we're using for it. We're using it for lipsticks. We're using it for different kind of
not me.
Not me either. And we use it, and the thing is that it's perfect to use in the direct use, what we designed it to use for, but we have not designed it for circularity.
Right.
So the consequences, when it ends up in the water, it becomes a problem instead.
Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot of what you do comes down to really making people aware that it's better for the environment. And now there was an article in a newspaper a week ago, also online on, I believe, conversation.com. It's they did a survey, 80,000 people, 40 countries, and a lot of people seem to think that that it's not really such a big deal. And they say a lack of concern is far higher in some countries, which you would not actually think that. And they say Sweden is one of them with 9%, even though that's your country. It's the country of Greta Thunberg. They say surprisingly the 5 countries with the lowest level of concern, all in Western Europe. And they mention Belgium, they mention Denmark, they mention Sweden. they mention Norway, and they mention the Netherlands. And well, I'm from the Netherlands. You're from Sweden. What do you think is going on there? Why are people not concerned? Well, it's less than half, they say. So that's less than 50% actually thinks that it's a serious problem. It seems very strange. These are, educated countries. Weird, isn't it? Or...
Yeah, I have read the survey also by myself, and I see the countries that are of high concern. They are all low trust countries. It means that there's low trust for authorities in those countries.
Okay.
We are all those countries that are in the bottom are high trust countries. It means that we trust in the society. So one reason, I just guessing now, can be that we believe in our authorities that they will fix it. That's a very, very big challenge, because if we don't change the way we produce things, we won't succeed. If we don't change how we consume, this will create a problem. In Sweden, and I know in many of our countries, their carbon offsetting has been very popular. It means that you are continue doing the same thing, but you offset. You pay extra tax for doing it.
Some people say it's not really worthwhile, but some people say it does make a difference. What do you think?
I would say that in some industries you need to do it because that's the only way to do it in the short term. You need to long term change the behavior. But it can create, and that was my second guess, it can create a belief that, well, there's no problem. We have already solved it. Just carbon offset. We have decided not to go for carbon offsetting. We have decided to go for being climate positive by introducing new way of recycling back resources, where we can then take down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. We can avoid emitting carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And so by investing millions and millions of euros in new inventions, we will secure a better future. And we believe that is better than doing carbon offsetting.
That is indeed better, I would say. That is indeed better. Now, obviously, climate change has been on the agenda and in people's minds for quite a long time. With a lot of demonstrations with Climate Action Group, and obviously from Sweden, Greta Thunberg. At the moment, we have the coronavirus. They say, well, the other things are not as important. We just have to stay alive. At the same time, people say, what can a pandemic teach us about climate change? How can we be more resilient to such things, from pandemics to climate change? And obviously, there are similarities. Governments are downplaying early warnings. You can see that with the coronavirus. You can see it in the United States. You can see that in the UK and also in Sweden at the beginning as well, from what I understand. And at the same time, you have a lot of citizens that are protesting to put measures in place. And you can see that the movements from Greta, you can see it all around the world. And also with the pandemic. So people say you should really be proactive and not just do something after, the problems come. And do you have any thoughts about this from your side?
I think it's very critical that we try to do more than one thing at the same time. It means that we need to make sure that we can avoid things like COVID-19 to spread. We need to also at the same time care for the climate. At the same time that we don't create other challenges, other environmental challenges. I think the SDGs are important. We have the 17 or the 169 sub goals that all of them need to be fulfilled, and they also demonstrate that the world can unite. The thing is that we need then to showcase and promote the innovations, the solutions that bring us in that direction. So and hopefully COVID-19 will make us to understand that we have the possibility to take united actions. And so we need to do a COVID-19 activity for each of those 169 sub-goals, I guess.
Okay.
If we do that, then we would succeed.
All right. That's a perfect close, I would say, as well. That's very good. I believe that myself as well, by the way. So where can we find you? And before you go on holiday, is there anything that you would like to mention?
You can find us at ragnsells.com on the webpage. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn if you would like to have personal contact with me. We like sharing our knowledge, and I like to share whatever I can in order to create a world to become circular. As said, the collaboration is the key factor. So if anyone listening would like to collaborate and come up with and have an idea how we can take the next step in recycling that creates circularity, then I'm more than welcome to discuss it with him or her. So thank you so much, Peter, for having me on.
Thank you.
And I wish you to have a good vacation also. I hope
I'm not going on holiday. I think I'll just stay right where I am, just like you. I don't think it's really wise to go anywhere, especially not flying or at the moment public transport. And I know what I'm saying is absolutely bad for the environment, but I don't have a car either, but if I would have a car, I would drive somewhere in my car and maybe a camping spot or something like that. Or that's what I would do, but I'm not going to do that. I'll stay here till it's blown over. So I think a lot of people, and maybe you've seen the things here in the UK, what's happening, like beaches overcrowded all of a sudden as soon as they relax it. I believe there's very high chance there might be a second wave. So I want to stay alive, actually, myself. Prefer to. So that's my idea, really. Good. Thank you so much.
I agree with you. Stay alive and
stay safe.
Keep the planet green.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that one. Thank you so much and have a good holiday.
Thank you.
That was the podcast with Pär Larshans. It was great to have him on the show. I'll put all the links in the show notes. You can find out more as well on podcast.earth. And you have been listening to Peter de Vries. Thank you for doing so. Please don't forget to tune in next time for the latest on sustainability, wellness, and responsible travel. See you next time.